Good morning, Weirdo Warriors. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show. I'm your host, Nighthawk, one of the hosts. We'll bring G and D on here pretty soon. There's a few things I want to go over before we start the broadcast. So let's get right to it. The copyright disclaimer. This channel may use some copyrighted materials without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under fair use. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel, and William Nighthawk declare fair use of any and all content, that's any and all content, including the music, to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for educational purposes, criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and parody, and general knowledge only, per Title 17, USC subsection 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which is otherwise known as the Fair Use Act. Okay, that being said, I'm sorry about the delay. It's been a hectic morning. Now that I got the internet figured out and set up, with all the new equipment and stuff, now my computer's giving me problems. So I just wanted to shoot it this morning. So, anyways, that being said, I need to make this disclaimer, okay? And apparently I'm going to have to put it in writing, and post it on the intro that we have for the podcast channel. Some of the information and subject matter we discuss on this channel may be sensitive to some viewers or listeners, okay? It is discussed by three gentlemen that, and I use that term loosely, right, G? Anyways, by three gentlemen that basically have theories and thoughts, and we interact with the community in the chat, okay, in this podcast, okay, and all the podcasts actually, because I think everyone on our channel is for the most part live, okay, it's not pre-recorded, so we do interact with the chat, which I will be going over with here in a little bit and saying hello to everybody. But just because something is sensitive to a certain viewer or someone watching the podcast, if you find it offensive or or sensitive to you and what your beliefs are, then by all means turn us off and put something else on. Okay, I'm not saying I don't want you to watch the channel. I want everybody to enjoy themselves and to enjoy the conversation and to feel like they're part of the extended weirdo warrior family. Okay. So that being said, I don't want anybody to have to feel like they've been offended intentionally, because it's not. Nothing we do on this podcast is intentional, okay? Unless I actually program a pre-recorded video, okay? Everything's pretty much winging it off the cuff, okay? So, and that's what makes it kind of interesting with the topics, because sometimes we stay on course and sometimes we get way off course, okay? Way out in left field. So, but, by all means, I don't want anybody to feel like they're offended, okay, if they watch this podcast. But I will make the suggestion that you please watch with an open mind, okay? Don't take everything literally, okay? Because sometimes we make innuendos or suggestions, of what a certain thing might be, and some people take it for fact, okay? If it's fact, I'm going to tell you it's fact from what I know, okay? From what I experience in the black arts, from what I experienced being Native American, from what I experienced being a cryptid investigator, from what I experienced being a paranormal investigator, okay? From what I've experienced dealing with UFOs and aliens, okay? If it's fact, I'm going to tell you it's something factual that I've dealt with, okay? Personally. I'm not speaking for Geryl or Geryl. I'm not speaking for Dennis. I'm not speaking for Carlito. I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. Okay. So, that being said, I hope you all stay tuned in. I hope you all subscribe to the channel. I hope you all enjoy yourselves. Okay. But I just wanted to go over that with you all this morning before we got started. Okay. There is a point where I did find out, I did get into the computer and found out that I was hacked. Yes, I was hacked by something or somebody. And I'm in the process of finding out who that is. Okay. Um, and Unfortunately, one of the locations of the hack was from Australia. Okay. So that being said, I'm just putting that out there. So I'm going to be talking to a few people and seeing, if they know anything about it or heard anything about it. Okay. Anyways, let me get to the comments and say hello to everybody. Okay. And then I'll bring G on. And Dennis, you don't need an invite. You have full control of the YouTube channel and of StreamYard. So you just go ahead and join in whenever you want. A Red Pill Preacher, Ray, good to see everybody. Raven Creek Charms, good to see you. All right, let's see. And of course, we got G in the house. Okay, let me bring G on too while he's backstage there patiently waiting. Okay,
Good morning.
so Ray, good to see you. Raven Creek, June, good morning. Good morning. Juno, good to see you. Who else we got in here? If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. I said Red Pill. Okay, Red Pill still. Roger Blair, good to see you, Roger. Good to see you. Okay. Yes, I was hacked. So, but anyways, I'm going to be working on that to find out exactly what information they're trying to find, if any. It could have very well just been a misguided type of a thing, but it doesn't look like it's any known group or individual. It looks more like a almost like a covert attempt to get at some data that I have on the computer. So um, we'll see. I'll keep on checking into it. So G, how are you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Good, good. Yeah, you and I talked a little bit yesterday through Messenger about what transpired after the broadcast yesterday morning. So I just wanted to start off today with everybody knowing that they're appreciated for being part of the viewing family. And let them know that sometimes there is sensitive subjects that we talk about, and sometimes it's not something that a certain person might not like to listen to or to watch or talk about, and they find it offensive. And I don't want them to ever feel like they are offended on purpose or intentionally. So that being said, I just I'm really torn up that I got an email like I did, or a message like I did from a certain individual. And because it was very I don't want to say nasty, but it was just shocking that somebody would actually find it, what we talked about, offensive, because it really, to me, it was just scenarios or theories. It wasn't like we were claiming that everything was fact and that it was devil, satanic connected. And no, not everything is satanic. You're right, but we do live in a world that is controlled and given over to the devil. Okay. And, give the devil his due, one way or another, he's going to get his due. Okay. I don't know what to say about it. It states it in every biblical text I can think of that this is the devil's world. The devil is the Lord of this world. Okay. So that came right out of Jesus' own mouth. Okay. that he gives him dominion, and the devil is the Lord of the world, not just the prince, but the Lord. Okay. The God of this world. So, with that being said, we have to rationalize things as being good or evil, right and wrong. Okay. There's either black or white, and I hate to say it that way. There's either dark or light, but for every yin there's a yang. Okay, for every left there's a right. I mean, it's just the way this world is. Okay, and just because we don't agree on and have different opinions on things doesn't make me any better than G, and doesn't make G any better than me. You know what I mean? Or Dennis any better than G. You know what I mean? It's just means that we have a difference of opinion, and as human beings, we're allowed to have that. Okay, we're absolutely allowed to have that, and that's what makes this channel so great, because we have everybody involved in it. You know, we have everybody involved in it. So we respect and love all of the viewing family. So I just hope that individual comes around and doesn't feel offended. So I don't know. How do you feel, G, about that?
Well, we live in a weird world now where people's feelings seem to dictate what we do and what we say and what we watch. And it's just a movement. It'll go away eventually. And I mean, it's just like everything else. Yet, some things, like you said, we say, okay, we know this, we've experienced this. And other things is this hypothesis that we say, okay, we have a theory, we have a thought. What if this happens, or what if this was going on? And we don't know. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, that's what I do when I watch podcasts. I soak in their information. I see some things I believe in, other things I don't. I kind of separate them, and just add it to my knowledge and my like another piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to put together to see the big picture. Does it fit? Does it not fit? You have to decide that yourself. I mean, I don't get
Exactly.
offended in other people's podcasts because it's their podcast. If I don't
Exactly.
agree with it, I either just ignore it and listen to the rest of the show, or I move on.
Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Um, and that's what's great about having us three doing this podcast on Saturday and Sunday morning too, is the fact that we all have different viewpoints. We all have approached these situations from different angles, from different directions. And so that gives us more of a perspective and an overall view of the subject matter we're discussing, which is great. And that's why a lot of people enjoy this morning brew show. So um, as always, our moderators and our chat is first and foremost. We take care of, and I'm a firm believer that you give the appreciation and the hard work to the ones that are deserving of it.
All right, I think William froze up a little bit.
Yeah, they deserve so much respect and admiration for what they do every day in the chat, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're offended. So that's my point. I'm going to
Yeah, I
send the
mean,
invite. I'm going to send an invite out to Dennis, because I don't think he realizes he can just pop on whenever he wants.
we love
So
everybody
let
in
me get
chat,
this
and
invite sent out.
we just love everybody in chat, and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but our opinions are our opinions, and we don't try to force information down anybody's throat. Or I remember when my dad, he would run for city council or mayor and stuff in our town, and pretty well respected, but he would sit down at the kitchen table at our house with people on the opposite side. We were Republicans, and obviously he had Democrat friends, and they'd sit there and they would have their opinions and go back and forth, but they were never offended from each other. They respected each other, but they just didn't agree politically. I mean, that's the way it is in the paranormal and cryptid world and UFO world. I mean,
Right.
you have different experiences, different opinions, but it doesn't mean you can't be civil to each other and like each other.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
We've kind of lost that somehow. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay. Well, hmm. Well, imagine that. Whoever hacked my StreamYard account or my computer actually is trying to hack my Facebook account. Are you there, G?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta try and figure this out. If you can send Dennis a message or send him a link to sign in, that'd be great.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to figure out what's going on with this hack job. And it's amazing that we got to do it while we're doing the live too. So, um, let me see here. Okay, let me see. Sorry, these guys are going through this right now, but I've got to. Let me see here. Inbox. Yeah, this is not good. Let's see. I'll take care of this problem right now. Hmm. All right. All right. Give me 1 second, everybody. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Come on.
Well, is there anything I can do from my end?
No, I'm just right now I'm having to reset a password. Um you all know how this goes, okay, when you're hacked. Um okay, cool. I just changed the password, so we're good to go. Interesting. Okay. I know this is boring, everybody, but bear with me. Okay, continue. All right. Okay, let me see here. All right, there we go. All right, now we're good to go. Okay, and see if I can get into the invites and everything. See what if they do it right, they can get all the passwords that are loaded in your computer, but they can't get the actual password. They have to try and figure it out. And somebody tried to figure it out, and they locked several of my accounts, like Facebook and all that. So let me see here. This is kind of like an on hands type of a segment here. Computer hacking 101. And
I'm
believe
going
me,
to
I'm not a
invite
computer
Dennis.
genius either, but I
I'm going to
try.
invite Dennis from your
Okay, we're all
StreamYard.
good.
William.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I just did invite him. So, okay, thank you guys, Roger and Scott. Good to see everybody in here, Raven Creek. I apologize, like I said, but I'm going to address the issue. I found out a certain individual name that shall remain nameless until I investigate it further, and I will go from there. So, but anyways, while we're waiting for Dennis to come on, the topic yesterday was kind of like all over the place, and really it led in because of the special that we had that Dennis and I had on Friday night at midnight, on the topic of vampires and stuff, and there was just a few things that we found, that linked, the vampire cults with the satanic cults, and with certain elite people in Hollywood, and elite people in politics and all that. So, we discussed a little bit of that yesterday. So, whatever you all want to discuss today, I'm going to open it up to the chat. Um, I'm just glad we got that hack out of the way. How we doing, Dennis?
All right. It's a dark, rainy day here.
Okay.
I think we're getting a little bit of that hurricane that you
Yeah, it's
that you
been
guys
raining.
got up there.
Yeah, yeah, it's been downpouring up here all morning. So, and it's supposed to rain till
Uh-huh.
midnight tonight. So it'll be a soaker today. But that is the forecast for the Mid Atlantic states.
Yeah.
anyways, um, anyways, I wanted to talk. Was it this weekend, Dennis, that the Mothman Festival was going on?
Yeah, yeah. That was. I went up there a few years back. Great experience. Did a little research on the Mothman while I was there. Of course, I went to the TNT area, some of those places up that way. Met up with some authors up there, and went to some
Well, I told
symposiums. It's a great time if you ever get a chance to go. It is a great experience, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get up there. I love seeing the pictures of everybody standing next to the statue, and all that. But Tracy and I we've always wanted to go to the Mothman Festival. That's like one of our big, bucket
Yeah,
list things to do. Actually, believe it or not. So
yeah,
yeah, I think next year we probably will be trying to get there. I'll have to save up the money over time, but that's definitely a
yeah.
bucket list item that we go
You
to.
can
So,
you can
um,
rent you a booth. You can rent a booth while you're there and make some money. Sell some of your goods and all that. It might help cover your trip there.
yeah, 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 that's true. Although to be honest with you, I haven't really made a lot lately, because of how I've been feeling. And I just, you have your good days and your bad, and I just haven't been feeling up to making anything really, to tell you the truth. But the subject I wanted to go over today was Mothman, and
Hmm.
what you all in the chat and Dennis and G, what you guys feel or what your theories are on the Mothman, if you would. Let's just start with that as an open-ended question and see where we go from there, because to me, the Mothman is. I don't want to say he's angelic, but he is angelic to a means, to a certain depth, um, because he's always associated with the wings and knowing things and having that power through mind talk and mind speak, and just being around tragedy, like the angel of death, basically,
Hmm.
which is kind of a good place to start. Is he the angel of death, or is he just a misunderstood unknown cryptid?
Well, he's very fallen angel like. I agree with that. He's very much like your typical fallen angel type. But I have also a feeling that this guy may actually be interdimensional of some sort. Maybe a creature that has wandered in from some other dimension or whatever the case may be. The interesting thing is that here's one other thing that I like to look at, and I'll throw it over to Gerald. Uh, the one interesting thing about it, Mothman's been seen in so many different locations. Like the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. He's been seen in South Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He's all over the place. So that makes me wonder if perhaps is this not a image used by the demonic? They're very good at utilizing images, and it makes me wonder if that's what's going on. What do you think, Joe?
Well, yeah, there's been so many sightings. I mean, just like Chicago, you mentioned, my area, there's an actual Google map tracking the appearances and the spottings of Mothman, and it's not just Mothman itself. It's like people describing it like a gargoyle, people describing it really looking like a moth, but with wings, kind of a human form. Then you got the human form that looks like a bat. I mean, there's just so many different descriptions of them. And really, it's almost a lot of people believe it's like a harbinger, something bad happens every time the Mothman shows up. Or, is he warning us or is he creating the situation?
Hmm. Sort of a portent of evil, you might say, kind of a bad thing that's going to happen. He supposedly was seen on the Silver Bridge before its collapse. He's supposedly been seen in several other locations of natural disasters or bad things that happen, like train derailments and stuff like that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been seen even on the West Coast, in the state of Washington. He's been seen on the Golden Gate Bridge, as a matter of fact, too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different locations he has been seen at, that hasn't really had tragedy yet. So are we able to make that connection to Mothman and tragedy happening, whatever he's seen, or is that just kind of a speculative type of a thing?
Well, to me, that kind of goes concurrent with his sightings, but there have been many, many other sightings that did involve natural disasters. They didn't, go along with very bad things happening. Although some people have actually had encounters with him, especially around Point Pleasant, out in their backyards or in a tree. I think one woman saw him in a tree next to her house. And nothing bad happened to her after it scared the bejeebers out of her. But I mean, besides that, nothing bad happened to her, as far as I know. So I don't know about the portent of evil kind of a thing. Is he just
Right.
just an opportunity for him or what?
Well, the very first sighting report was the
Right.
young couple that the Mothman terrorized them in their car, and scraped up their paint in their hood and was flying right along them and harassed them all the way into town to the police station before they reported it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I went along that same trail while I was there. I drove along where they drove that night, and of course, I didn't do the speeding that they did. I think they were doing almost like 100 going back to town. But if he was able to keep up with them along this road, and it's a pretty straight road, by the way. Once you get out of the TNT area heading back towards town, it's pretty straight, and which is unusual for West Virginia with all the mountains and hills and all that. But it's pretty straight. And I said, and what struck me is that in that account is if this guy could keep up with a car doing like that, he's superhuman. I mean, this is something not like a nature would put forth. I don't see any kind of a bird, even the eagle or a hawk or anything that could keep up with a car going that fast. So that kind of rules out it being a big bird thing. You know what I'm saying? To me, this is something very unnatural. That's why I say it seems like an interdimensional thing to me. You know.
Well, there have been reports of him being able to control fire too, and electricity, to the point where he can manipulate it, and he can actually make fire go out. I mean, I know of instances where he's made torches go out and campsite fires go out, and not just by the flapping of his wings, but just by his sheer presence. So that on some scale has to give you some supernatural ability, things to be connected with the Mothman. So he's definitely supernatural.
There are some devil cults around Chicago that claim that they have raised Mothman. He's sort of demonic in that respect. They have raised him up to terrorize O'Hare and all those areas back in there. Some of these cults claim that they had brought him forth from another dimension or demonic dimension and turned him loose. So that makes you wonder about that too. Is he not just a weird creature, but does he have those supernatural abilities? And like you said, if you can put fire out and do things like that, you definitely don't fall in the line of the natural, in that respect.
Right. Now, getting into the whole aspect of coming through a portal or going interdimensional on us, do you think that he could have been attracted to this world by the use of all the Ouija boards and all the portal ceremonies and all that, and even CERN for that matter? Even the sheer thought of CERN being, constructed.
Well, that's true.
Construction. I mean,
that's very good. Very good point, because there's been a big increase. We know without a doubt there's been a big increase in evil in this world. Darkness has increased potentially, substantially. We also know that a lot of this darkness is brought about people fooling with this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, I had a case yesterday, and this young girl was very frightened by some stuff going on in her life. And first thing I asked, have you been using a Ouija board? Have you been screwing around with witchcraft? That's the first thing you got to ask when you run it. Unfortunately, she hasn't. But that's very prevalent in the world today. That's like Geryl sent me a picture the other day of somebody, I think it made a table out of a big Ouija board or something, What are people doing here? They screwing around with other dimensions and doorways they need to leave alone. But when you start doing that, sure, you're going to get some very bad negative feedback from it in some way or another. That would not surprise me that something like Mothman would be attracted to this country, to this world, to certain areas of this country with some of this going. And we know that Point Pleasant has not just a history of Mothman, but a history of a lot of paranormal activity. Virginia and West Virginia, we know, are hotbeds for that. So that would be a good pick. If I were going to be Mothman, that's where I'd go,
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah,
there's
I
more than
remember
one
one night
Mothman
I went
even.
outside to check. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was just going to suggest too, G. I was just going to suggest that possibly there is more than one, because you hear of different locations being sighted roughly about the same time. Now, there's also been the theory that Mothman is able to teleport himself to another location, to so he doesn't have to flap his wings to death in order to get there. Um, but I was actually checking on a campfire one night last summer, and out behind our house, and I went out there, and it was pitch black. I didn't, stupid me, I didn't even take a flashlight with me. But had my sidearm on in case there was bears or coyotes and all that, that kind of stuff. But went out there, checked on the campfire, made sure the fire was out, and I have a piece of tin roofing metal that I lay down on top of it, so in case the wind blows overnight, it doesn't send hot ashes all over the place and start a forest fire. Um, so, but anyways, as I was walking in the darkness behind the house, the roof is like 30 feet off the ground. Okay. And it's a metal roof that we have. So, the kind of when it rains, it goes ding, 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 ding. Anyways, that's the kind of roof we have.
Put you
And,
to sleep real quick. Yeah,
anyways,
go
I hear
makes you
this.
sleepy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. It'll put you to sleep. That's for sure. But I hear this like, almost like fingernails on a chalkboard, but on like a metal
Scratching.
roof.
Yeah.
And I look up. Yeah, I look up and I see this dark mass on the roof, the peak of the house on the roof, and it was just
Mhm.
there. Okay, so I turned to away, and I started looking in my pocket for a lighter or something that I could light, so I could have some kind of light. And by the time I turned around, this thing swooped down, and I felt the wind from the wings on this thing literally almost blow me over. So, I couldn't tell, I didn't see any red glowing eyes. It very well could have been a great horned owl for all I know, because they get very big. But we've never had owls on our roof at night. And it just seems like that period of time in our lives here at our location, we were my one son, my oldest son, was experiencing a lot of noise on the roof, like something was walking on our roof. Okay. And he kept on waking me up in the middle of the night and telling me the next morning, I heard that again, the other night, Dad,
Mhm.
just, letting So something obviously was attracted to our location. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying it was Mothman. I'm not saying it's anything but a great horned owl, maybe, but it was unusual. It was
Makes you
definitely an
wonder.
unusual thing that happened, because yeah, we never really know what's out there at night. And I mean, how many people wander around in the dark without a flashlight? You know, so
Well,
you got to you got
these
to
things,
consider.
William. I'm writing. Matter of fact, writing about that in my next book, The Things of Nightmare. I call them night flyers. Some of these things, they're very indistinguishable. They're shadows, like you said, and I've experienced that myself. They're hard to pin down what they exactly are. That's why I call them night flyers. They fly at night, and that's all I can tell you. I mean, that's the description I can give you. Some people said they have seen these things under streetlights, and they look like a man and part bat kind of a thing. But they said it's not like the typical Batman looking thing. It's
Huh.
sort of like very tall and very slim, and it wraps its wings around itself. And it stands there looking at people, and they've seen this thing before. I call them night flyers. They're almost like vampire type bat things in that respect. And here's one of the other interesting things since you brought that up, and I'm going to see what you think about it. There's been a lot of reports of people who have had incidents with these night flyers that have reported their energy being sort of sapped away from them, sort of being sucked out of them. They talk about having health episodes after seeing these things, or they have a low energy thing going on after that. There seems to be sort of like a vampiric type thing attached to them. In that respect, what do you think? Have you heard that?
Huh.
Well,
You mean
I've brought it up
kind of
before.
like zapping our energy?
Mm-hmm.
I've brought it up
They're
before that
tapping on.
what if a real vampire, and instead of like in the movies where it turns itself into a bat, what if it turns itself into a Mothman? What if that is actually what it morphs into?
Makes you wonder because they have a very vampire-like tendencies to them. Those red, glowing, hypnotic kind of eyes. Think about that. A lot of people talk about those eyes, and they can't forget those eyes. Once they see them, they kind of burn into their brain. And then, like William said, they put out campfires and do stuff like this. That sounds very much like your classic kind of vampire type thing going on here. So it makes you wonder if there's not a vampire connection, energy wise, especially some type of energy vampire. If you come out of a portal from another dimension, it makes me wonder if maybe you need some kind of energy when you get from point A to point B and replenish yourself. You have to think about that too.
Right. Yeah. Raven Creek brings up a good point here. Maybe it's that evil takes advantage of the Mothman's image. Maybe
Well, the
it is
demonic
not
is
a.
good. The demonic is very good at that. We know that, don't we, William? The demonic uses these
Yep.
images, like Slender Man and some of these other images, and I think they use the image of Bigfoot and Dogman as well. I know that without a doubt. The demonic can do that,
Yep.
and that
Go.
wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Go
surprise
on.
me a bit. Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
if people have been
Yep.
using Ouija
Exactly.
boards or doing ceremonies or rituals to try to bring Mothman to our reality, then maybe we have manifested it. Maybe we've made the veil so thin by them doing that. And obviously you got CERN and everything we talked about, mixing up our timelines and portals. So maybe it's all just like the perfect storm where people are trying to bring this into existence, and
Well,
CERN's
Yep.
thinning the veil, and then all of a sudden, boom, he can just come
let me
right
say
in.
this. Let me say this, Gerald, on that along those same lines. It is a known fact that the demonic can take and use or utilize thought forms. When people think about something too much, they catch on that. Like I said, I've experienced this my own self, that they can actually read the surface thoughts of your subconscious and use those images and use that information against you. Okay, they could certainly take what you would think about or dwell upon the imagination. Like William has said before, imagination is a very powerful thing, and it would not surprise me if the demonic doesn't utilize our imagination, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is interesting. I find what Scott says here is very interesting, that there are also reports of things flying without flapping its wings. Nothing on
And
our planet can do
there
that.
are reports of these things taking off straight up, just like a rocket. Without what
Yeah.
bird can do that?
Yeah.
None that I know of.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
And that's
Yeah. I
a
agree.
common
I
report.
agree.
That is a common report of these night flyers. That's what I call them, night flyers. That they can take straight off vertically, or they can also glide like for long distances without flapping their wings. So this is very unbird-like in that respect. I don't think hawks, eagles don't do that. I've seen a lot. I've seen them a lot, and they don't act in that way. Natural birds don't.
well,
So there you go.
if it's a dimensional
Right.
being,
Now,
then I would also assume it has superhuman capabilities or supernatural
Mhm.
capabilities that it could probably just pop into this dimension here in this place, and then next thing you know, it's over in Chicago, then it's out in the west, and it's back to Mount Pleasant. And then it should be
Mhm.
able to have almost like Superman, Batman, what we consider, abilities from
Mhm.
movies. I mean, it should be able
Yeah.
to fly like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
Whatever
it's almost
you.
been proven. It's almost been proven, guys, that thing can teleport. So yeah, obviously it could if it can teleport, it can get from point A to point B in a split second. So
And the demonic is known very good about teleporting as well. I've actually run into demons from one place to another that travel that way. You know what I'm saying? They're there 1 second and they're somewhere else the next instant. That's teleporting in my book. Uh, and
mhm.
if the demonic can definitely do that, no doubt about it.
Well, if they're a dimensional being, say they're the fourth or fifth
Yeah,
dimension, they see our whole reality in one. They see everything where we can only see so much of our 3D. So they're outside of our reality, so they can see everything
Uh-huh.
in whole. So they can pop in. If you're running to another room, they can pop in ahead of you. If you're running the other way, they can pop in ahead of you there because they can see everything all in one.
Well, supernatural entities,
right,
Gerald. Supernatural entities do not go by our time and space. They're not bound by it. Okay, they're not bound by it. I know that without a doubt too.
yeah, yeah. Because it really time and space. The only persons the only creature to actually have a concept of time as in restrictions and limits is mankind. So humankind is the only one that puts limitations on timeline.
Well,
So you
time is
know,
considered the fifth dimension. Okay, and
right,
it's still theorized that how mankind will ever pierce into that fifth dimension because that's time. The only way to do that would be a time machine or some way to move through time. Then you would be able to go through that dimension. But until then, we're locked out of it. You know, we're locked out of it. But some beings are not. Some supernatural entities are
right,
definitely not bound by it.
right. Yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Oh, it's just the whole aspect or the whole thing around the Mothman, the subject of the Mothman, is so fascinating because he's pretty much the only unknown being. I don't want to say cryptid because we don't know for fact that it's a cryptid. Um, and I don't want to label it a demon because we don't know for fact 100% that it's a demon. So it's the only being that has this mystique about it that is really really interesting, and it just needs to be. We need to find out more about it. We need to figure out, where did he come from? What is he here for? Is he a harbinger of doom? Prophecy and all that. Or is he here to protect mankind and to warn mankind from doom? I mean, there's so many different avenues you could take with this whole subject.
Yeah, because as far as I know, he actually hasn't hurt or killed anybody.
Right. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. He's made a lot of people hurt themselves, bro. By getting scared of him, yeah. But no, he's not actually been fatal to anyone, as far as I know. That's a plus in his corner, I guess. But we just Dogman can't claim that supposedly. But anyway, um, that is one thing. But here's another thing about him, and I think what you said, William said at the very beginning. He has that fallen angel kind of a mentality to him.
Mhm.
There. Let me say this about the demonic and fallen angels and whatever name you want to tag them with. There's an invisible line that they can't cross over. Our Creator has created that line that they can't cross over, and that's usually actual murder. You know, That these things, some of these things cannot actually, demonic murder, like I've talked about in the past, is a very, very rare because they're just not allowed to do that. That's just something that line they don't cross over. And I think Mothman may be on the other side of that line too. Maybe he can't do that. It makes you wonder.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing with and I can't remember who it was, but they said that the Mothman had paid them a visit. I know it was a married couple that went to the TNT bunkers there, and did an investigation, a paranormal investigation. And in fact, I think my brother Dave Spinks knows more about this incident than anything. Um, Dave, if you're out there, give us a comment. Um, the fact of the matter is, they said that the Mothman entity, the being, followed them home and was threatening or harassing them, and basically would write things on the mirrors and all that, to scare them. Um, at one time, the woman was taking a shower apparently, and the Mothman was seen on the outside of the shower curtain standing there. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, there's obviously so much that we don't know about this entity, that I really, really find fascinating. I really do.
Well, the attributes like that, because it seems to be seeking out people to have that negative reaction. Makes me think of the demonic because they're negative. They're attracted to negative stuff, and they feed upon that. Okay, they feed upon negativity, and it seems like the Mothman is kind of drawn to the negative things too. Just like that bridge, maybe he knew, having preternatural knowledge, knew what was going to happen on that bridge. He was drawn there because of the trauma, the pain, the fear, and the death that would be in that area. You know, he was drawn to it by that negativity. So negativity feeds off of negativity like a magnet. It's drawn to it. That makes you wonder about that.
Yeah, we also had, like I said earlier, all the reports in Chicago, we have to determine there might be two separate entities that we're talking about. It might be a bat man or it might be a Mothman. I mean, there's two different kind of similarities there, but they could be
Hmm.
two separate entities, and even a gargoyle.
Yeah. The gargoyle thing makes me wonder about that because this is very much of the way it's described. And go look at some of the gargoyles, okay, all over the world, and not just Paris, but they're on churches everywhere. Look at some of these depictions. Some of them look very close to a Mothman description. You have to wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Very, very true. See, I was hoping I had that one picture on here, because StreamYard gives you like an area where you can store like 20 or so pictures. And I was hoping I had that one picture of Mothman on here, but I don't. I don't see it. Um, Let me see if I can find it, guys. You go ahead and
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and shut my camera down. I'm going to see if I can find that picture of Mothman.
So like I said earlier, if you go to Google, there's a map. If you just type in your web browser and search for Google Mothman map Chicago, Illinois, it'll give you the recent updates and marks on a map of where they've seen it. And you can click on them and it'll tell you the date and the description of the person that gave the encounter. And it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it would be a good tool for research. Something like that. If you want to go in and research it, definitely would. I'm putting in somebody requesting
For your email?
email, so I'm sending it to them.
I think Raven was
But
just asking if she could post our emails, so she's been putting them up there.
yeah, this person actually sent me a personal message wanting that.
Oh, okay.
So okay, so I'm sending it. Actually, not wanting my email; they're wanting Nighthawk's email.
Oh, all right.
But there we go. I got that took care of. Anyway, yeah. When you do research, you look for some great tools like that. I call them shortcuts. You want some good shortcuts. You can go to what you're looking for. But to me, there's so many different attributes of Mothman. That will lead you down so many different rabbit holes. Like you said, you got that interdimensional thing. You got the demonic connection. You've got the gargoyle connection. You got the Batman, the Night Flyer connection. You've got so many different. You see, and here's another interesting aspect of Mothman. He is correlated with a lot of UFO sightings.
Yes.
Things have first popped up lately, but I did see that they were planning to go to that.
So yeah, is it like we said before? Is it just a perfect storm where the veil or our dimensions opened up and have we manifested it? Is it something that's been brought to fruition? Is it a supernatural being, dimensional? I mean, what if it's all of the above? What if it's just a perfect storm for an entity?
Well, he's a perfect image. If certain nefarious forces wanted to use his imagery, they would not pass that opportunity up. I don't see that one bit. I wouldn't surprise me a bit that they're not using that. So you got many different attributes. You're right, Geryl. It could go many different roads with it. Okay, to get to a certain point, but it's fascinating in that respect, and it's one of the most interesting entities out there, Mothman. Since his very first appearance and all that until this day, which is what drew me to West Virginia. Why I wanted to check it out for myself because I'd heard so much, all the Mothman prophecies and all that. Actually lived a little bit of it my own self with some of my weird experiences. Made me want to, understand it. And I'll tell you, one of the most eeriest places I have ever been to is that McClinic Wildlife thing out there. That swamp looks like something out of the creature from the Black Lagoon. I kept looking for him to come out, come out of that water. That is a eerie place. If I were gonna pick out a perfect pair, you talk about a perfect storm of the paranormal. That's one location I would definitely go with. Of course, the TNT plant is no longer there. I went to where it was originally and where actually the thing actually took place. And it is a good ways away. I'd say maybe a mile at the most, as the crow flies, away from the TNT area.
Now,
In that respect,
is that the Frogman or is that something else?
no, I was talking about the Mothman.
Oh, the Mothman.
But there's a swamp. Right? There's a swamp. There's a swamp there where the Mothman was sighted, and where those igloos are. The bunkers. There's like I said, the creature from the Black Lagoon would love that place because it looked like home to him. It's a spooky looking place. I mean, very eerie, and it had a very different feel to it. Before I even got there and saw this, I mean, getting out of the car, walking in there, and you have to walk a long ways into that area. It began to hit me. Hey, this is a kind of a funky place here. It didn't feel right. And not just because of the legend, but I'm talking about the atmosphere itself was different. More so than the actual TNT plant location. Those bunkers, that's weird stuff. I got some pictures on the inside of some of those bunkers. Matter of fact, I have a souvenir from there. I'll have to show you one day. I have a souvenir. But actually, I got it around here somewhere, but it's a lid off of one of the canisters that held gunpowder or whatever. It had one of the TNT canisters, the actual lid off of it that was laying in there, waiting for me to take it home. Anyway, It is a very eerie place, and like I say, if you ever get a chance to go there, you'll pick up on what I'm talking about, without a doubt.
Yep. Very interesting.
Hmm. But like I said, that swamp looks like something out of a movie. You expect a swamp creature to come out of there or something. It's a weird. The whole place is an area around there, and I drove. It goes for miles. There's many roads around there. Is a wildlife area. Refuge. Uh, so it's very pristine. There's no bunch of houses in there and all that. It's very different from the surrounding countryside.
Well,
Mothman picked
guys,
out a good
I'm
place to show up.
still
That's
have,
definitely. Go ahead.
I've got some weird things going on. I've got some weird things going on, guys. While you were talking about the Mothman, I had a digital voice come across the computer. I couldn't make out what it said. It was gargled, but it was definitely a voice.
We
That
could
sounds
kind
like
of hear it.
that sounds like Mothman prophet. That sounds like Mothman prophecy stuff there.
Yeah, it was definitely
They had a lot of reports.
voice. It was definitely a voice, a digital voice.
John Keel reported a lot of that. Weird voices, weird phone calls, and all that stuff. I've experienced that a little bit myself, so it is an eerie thing. And we said about yesterday, technology is being utilized by these forces, and that's nothing new. I mean, it's been going on. It's only going to get worse because more of our technology is coming into our lives.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject there.
Yeah, that was enough
you hear the stories of people having disconnected phones and it rings and somebody's on the other end talking to them.
I had a case one time, Geryl, where this woman got an actual call from her dead son's phone, and it was laying in a drawer. She actually got a call from it, which I still hadn't figured that out because actually, when I checked the phone, the battery was dead in it. So how can a dead phone call you?
Yep.
That's weird. I speculated there must have enough little bit of juice left in the battery, and somehow or another, maybe somebody jiggled the drawer that the phone was in and caused it to hit the last number was called. That don't make sense, though. I mean, think about the odds on that. That's astronomical.
I mean, even before cell phones, you had the reports of landlines where people were getting strange calls or
that's
calls
that famous
from loved ones that have passed away.
That's that famous Twilight Zone episode, Night Call. Where the lady got a call from her dead husband. And she went to the cemetery, and there was a phone line laying over his grave. That was a neat, great story. And that's actually supposed to be based on a real story. Actually, a real event.
Oh, there's our picture.
Ah, there he is. In all his glory. Now, that looks to me, it's more bird looking, eagle looking to me, that picture, than an actual moth,
That looks like a hawk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I said, there might be different entities. There might be a Mothman looking one, and there might be a Batman looking one. You'd have to kind of distinguish on what people describe it.
That's why I tagged them night flyers, Geryl, because there's different descriptions, there's different attributes to it, and a lot of like Nighthawk's talking about, it's just a shadow that they saw, but it was flying. It had wings of some sort. That's why I call them night flyers. But the jury's still out on that, just what the heck they are, By the way, speaking of Night Flyer, there was a great Stephen King story about that. I don't know if you ever read it,
Anyways, that's
where he was
the
a
picture I was
vampire.
talking about.
He was a vampire from like the early barnstorming days, and he would go from
How we
airport to
doing, Bigfoot,
airport in his
Michigan,
old
Rob?
airplane, and he would kill people. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm trying to get caught up in the chat here now.
Yeah, it's been pretty fast today. I see we have our good friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob in here.
Yeah, he popped in right before the Lions game.
Yep. He's probably watching the game too. Knowing Rob, he's probably got 3 or 4 TVs, 3 or 4 computer screens, and a couple cell. Okay, let's see. Okay. Man, I am way behind in time. Okay. Uploads. It really helps our algorithms. Pop in the bell icon for notifications on live shows. Raven Creek for putting that on there.
Yeah, Raven Creek is hot today. She's doing good.
Yep. Thank you, Raven.
A great job, Raven. Tracy is too. Tracy doing some
yeah, that
good
digital
stuff
voice, guys, that was crazy, man. That digital voice was crazy. I mean, it was
the sound kind of robotic, doesn't it? Kind of a robotic sound
to it.
It was
creepy. It was really creepy though. I mean, it gave me chills. Really something.
I've had some interference like that here recently, talking to some clients on phones. Had some weird things going on with that. These things do not want you to talk about them. They don't want you to pull them out in the light, and that makes me want to pull them out that much more. They don't know who they're dealing with here, do they? That just makes us want to go after them more. That's all.
Yeah. What did you call yourself the other day? Dennis Helsing?
Yep. Hey, Geryl, if these things were smart, they would use reverse psychology on us, but they don't know how to do
it. You wouldn't want to go out and hunt them so much if they turned themselves into cute little Pokemon or something instead of Dogman and Mothman.
Cute little Pokemon. Oh, wow. Yeah, I could just see a Pikachu on my roof.
I might need a new roof after that. You never know. Have some holes in it. Put that on my 12 gauge.
I was thinking the other day they have that app, that game, Go Pokemon, where you can actually use your phone to go out and there'll be images of the Pokemon characters out, in the field, your backyard, wherever you collect them. We should do that for cryptids. Have Mothman, Dogman. We can make our own game.
Oh yeah, I got a picture that someone sent me that shows it, and it's very fake, but it shows
I wonder if
they did a good job at it. But it looks like they're looking out in somebody's
had the
backyard, and
same
there's some kind of a
imagine. I
entity
wonder if
standing
everybody
out there. You know, some kind of
had the
skeleton
same.
thing. And
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if everybody had the same imaginary thought at the same time. If we could manifest a Pikachu or
well, that experiment's been done, William, and it was a success. Actually, they actually did almost bring this thing to life by the very giving it a character in the background and sitting around talking about it, dwelling on it, and looking up pictures on it and all that. Same thing happened with Slender Man. You know, you better be careful what your imagination thinks up because you might actually bring it to life.
yeah.
You have to wonder if that's not Mothman.
Yeah, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Although he's big and fluffy, he still would stomp you really good. I wouldn't want him on my street. No, thank you.
Then the newest movie, they had the little tiny Stay Puft Marshmallow Mens that wreaked havoc on everything. Little tiny baby ones.
Mm. Well, think about Marshmallow. He'd make a good s'more, wouldn't he? A big s'more.
Feed the world. Feed the world
Big one.
s'mores.
Yep. Everybody could get a piece of that.
We'd have to see if we can get a big enough graham cracker.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, I'm on Grizzly Channel tonight. I'll be doing The Secret Code of Hollywood. You might want to listen to that one. It's going to be real interesting. I'll probably get us YouTube banned on this one. I guess. If I'm not careful.
You'll get Grizzly banned, not you.
Yeah. Liable to be a ban on. I have to be very careful. You have to be very careful nowadays what you really say. But the best thing to do is kind of be the innuendo of it. You know, kind of refer to it in an off kind of way, and that way they can't tag you. They can't put you down on one. Yeah, you have to be careful. I always like to think, you know, I'm gonna say something very interesting when I say I'm not gonna call any names. Okay.
I watched one show where they were talking about stuff like that, and they were using French fries, tater tots, ketchup as code words.
Yeah. You have to use your code words. That's what I'm gonna be talking about tonight. The code of Hollywood. They've got a code too. Okay, that's definitely. That'll be at 9:00 tonight on Eastern Standard Time. If you get a chance, check it out.
Yeah.
Demonology today. You know, demonology, just like Mothman, has so many different avenues to it. And somebody asked me not long ago, said you need to write a book on demonology. And I said, God, where do I start? It would take a library. I am writing a book on some of it. It's just my own personal spin on it. Oh, it would take a library to cover this subject. That's how deep it goes, and how far down and deep into our society and our lives that it has worked its way in there. I call it spiritual cancer on this world, and that's basically what it is.
Should do demonology yesterday and today.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into yesterday because yesterday's demonology was actually raising demons. You don't want to do that. Let's not do that. No. That's where your key of Solomon and all that lesser key of Solomon comes in, and all the grimoires teaching you how to call demons and get them in your power. No. We don't want to go that route. That's the old demonology. I've had a lot of churches turn me down. Say, "Hey, what
Yeah,
are you
we don't
talking
want
about?
that.
You're into demonology." It's all I was like I was a warlock or a witch or something. Because I said, no, this is kind of telling you about what your enemy is. You know what he's up to. It's not helping your enemy. You know.
Yeah.
But they can't ever grasp that concept.
When did you become a witch doctor?
Yeah, witch doctor. Yeah. I mean, a big old pot and boil people in there.
I think that's a cannibal, not a witch doctor.
Well, they kind of go along the same route. Who says the blessing over the dinner? The witch
Man, did
doctor,
we go off
okay?
the rails?
The witch doctor's got to do that, you know. There you go.
I don't know. You let the mice play, William. That's what happens.
Wait a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Witch doctor.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Medicine man.
Okay. Witch doctor. Witch doctor. Witch doctor.
You doctor witches.
There's my wand.
Oh, okay. It looks like an electrical wire wand to me. What is that? Harry Potter would be proud of you. Harry Potter would be proud of you.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. What were we talking about before we went off the rails?
I used to get into arguments with people about Harry Potter, you know, being real witchcraft and all that, you know. Fascinating subject. But J.K. Rowling used a little bit of real witchcraft in the knowledge of that, but you're not utilizing that when you do Harry Potter. Okay, that's a children's thing. But it has this dark side to it, definitely. There he is, the Mothman. Nobody ever mentioned any antennas on him. You know, I don't know where they get the antenna thing at. Okay.
Well, they just made it look like a moth more with the antennas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, the actual description of Mothman, he didn't have a neck. It's sort of the head set down, smack on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't
So
have
that's
that neck.
That can't be the actual statue, then, can it? Because the actual statue.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I said. That's what I saw when I went and saw the statue. I thought, yeah, that's not what they described him as. I don't know who come up with the statue. I would have tried to have been a little bit closer to the real, true description of what they gave. But when they saw him, he was standing on the side of the road, and he had his wings like wrapped around him, and he had no neck. He said his head sat down on there, and it was just, and all they could really make out was just the two big red glowing eyes. You know, they couldn't make out any facial features or whatever. That was the only description they got of him, and the fact that he flew over the car, but they never said what kind of wings he had. You know, whether they were butterfly or hawk or bat or whatever the case. They never described that. If you go back and look at the description on it, it leaves a lot to the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, the head on the Mothman sitting right on the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
The head actually looks like this picture, you know, where the head
that
is sitting
picture right there, William. That picture right there is taken supposedly from the South Georgia incident. The Georgia, it's not that far from where I'm at, where this supposedly occurred. That's where that picture is kind of. That's how the way they described him in the Georgia incident.
Okay. Yeah, that's the way he's been described in Texas too, from what I understand. Now the Texas is a whole nother area too, where he's been sighted, along with winged bat-looking creatures and gargoyle-looking creatures in Texas. So that
Damn
almost
bat
makes
boy.
you wonder if that 33rd parallel or whatever it is down that way, 31st, 33rd, yeah, has something to do with it. Whatever parallel they're on, whatever ley line they're on. So
That's the 27th
or
parallel, I
even
think.
even
Mm-hmm.
27th. I thought it was the 31st, but
Somewhere like I can't remember now. I got it in my book. I'd have to go back and look. I got it in my book, The Road Unseen, where this parallel that runs cross country, and you have a lot of paranormal
I might be
activity on
thinking the
both
word
sides
dark.
of it. Yeah, you got a lot of paranormal activity on both sides of it, and I think there's a correlation between this parallel and the ley lines crossing a certain area, supposedly.
Nobody's posting, I guess.
No, I think it's kind of like what happened in Chicago. The Mothman showed up first, then pretty soon you had these bat-like creatures and gargoyles start showing up, and I think that's what happened down in Texas also.
Mm-hmm. Well, look overseas. You've got Owlman over there. I've read a lot of interesting sightings of the Owlman being seen in the UK, especially around one certain church over there, churchyard. And he sounds very much like the Owlman says very much like Mothman in some attributes. Even the description of it, with the big red eyes, kind of the glowing eyes. Actually, Owlman's been seen flying around the roof of this church, supposedly. Like I said, the description was kind of vague and certain. So what they saw in Georgia, they might have got a better look at it, or in Texas, than they did in Point Pleasant. You have to wonder about that. That's the thing about it, when you do interviews with people, of eyewitnesses and all that. Nobody ever sees the same thing in the same way.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit different. They catch up on different things, so you got to take what you can get. You know what I'm saying, and go with that, and make your determination off of a lot of that. But I've noticed over the years. Here's another thing that you got to think about: when you're frightened by something or scared out of your wits, it looks bigger to you. That's just natural thing. I've noticed this too, and I don't know if you think about this too, because I know you do a lot of night work, do your night washes and all. When you look at something, when you first perceive something, and it's very vague, but as it gets closer to you, I want you to watch this happens. This is your mind working, okay? This is the way your brain works. When it gets closer to you, like a UFO or whatever, all of a sudden everything in the background gets clearer and stronger. Right. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Because the brain is focusing on that object, that image, everything clears up and it gets bigger too. It looks bigger. I'm not saying it gets bigger, but it looks bigger to you because your brain is trying to pull that image in. I think that's what's going on. So you got to be careful not let your brain trip you up on these things, And that's why I tell people.
Also, your mind is trying to warn you by making it look bigger and menacing.
Yeah. This is something you got to watch out for. It's a cautious kind of a thing. And I have to take that into account when you're getting an account from someone, what they saw. You got to take that with a grain of salt, because I've had a lot of people. Here's what I ask them: what you saw, how was it in relation to what was in the background, or maybe a tree or a sign or a roadway or something? That gives you a true estimate. You can't just go by what they say. You see, you got to try to get something to correlate with it. And when you don't have that, then you're in some kind of murky water there. It could be and it could not be. But you got to remember, that's the way your brain works. And that's why people get mad at me a lot of times about this pareidolia stuff, okay? Oh, God, man, they get furious about it. But pareidolia is a scientific proven thing. It does exist. But these people want to ignore that altogether. You can't do that because paranoia will trip you up. It'll trip you up every time if you're not careful.
Then the other thing is you got your flight or fight thing going on with your mind and your body. I mean, you're not really focusing on the details of what it looks like or what its shape is or its features. You're thinking, okay, is this thing going to kill me? Do I need to run? Do I need to hide? Do I need to fight? I mean, you're in instinct mode, so you're not really saying, okay, I'm an investigator. What's the atmosphere? What's going on? You're in scared and fight mode.
It's like this, Geryl. 10% of your mind saying, "Oh, that's what it is." 90% saying, "Let's get the heck out of here." That kind of thing. And what can I do to get away from this thing? So you're not working with your full brain capacity on that. Okay, in that respect, and you got to remember that's the way people roll with that. You know, that's just a human reaction. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but the strange thing about all this is that there are certain characteristics of the Mothman that keep popping up, like the red eyes, like it being able to fly, being able to take off from a standing, and that's what they said this thing did in Point Pleasant. It didn't just start running down the road and take off like a bird would do. Right. It went straight up. That's another thing that you correlate with on this too. So, yeah, and then that disaster aspect of it, that bad kind of a mojo feeling to it, that people get with it. Yeah. It's not,
it's a harbinger.
Yeah, it is a harbinger type of a thing, and that runs along a lot with the sightings. And and harassment is part of it too. This thing harassed people a good bit. Like the William was talking about the woman taking a shower and all that. This thing has a demonic aspect to it too. And I've even, and we've talked about this before, you and me, Geryl, but I have had cases where UFOs have harassed people. I mean, where's that coming from?
Right.
I mean, I have one lady that she'll touch with me once in a while. She's scared to look up at night when she goes outside because them lights are going to be there, then they follow her around and all this stuff. And it spooks her. She's a good Christian lady. She says, "What's going on with this? What's this?" And I can say it's only sort of a form of spiritual warfare against you in some ways. That's what it is.
Yep.
And you got to wonder what the heck's going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Mothman's just sent here just to harass us and wreak havoc on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I tell you what, the only thing, let me tell you this on my own experience. The only thing that has ever harassed me and caused me that much trouble and interference was demonic stuff, okay? That's all I can tell you in my experience.
Well, it's getting really bad, guys, on my end. Getting pretty bad, so I'm probably going to have to cut this short. We've been an hour and a half already into the subject of the Mothman. But man, we are getting our equipment is being harassed literally by the electronic interference. I've lost audio, I've lost video, I've lost power on the computer, so it's definitely kicking something up talking about the subject. So
that happens. I
don't know if we want to call it a day and cut our losses on it so far, or yeah.
Yeah, we can end it here. We've pretty much covered almost everything, I think, so far.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to know that I appreciate everybody for being here. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. We'll continue this another time then, okay?
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a great Sunday. Go to watch Geryl G at and then watch Dennis's tonight with Grizzly Chris. And if I come up with a podcast in between, then I'll come on live, or I'll do something pre-recorded. So, okay, everybody. Thank you all for being here in the chat. Thank you to the moderators for all your help. Thanks for everything, and we will see you all on the flip side. Okay, take care, everybody.
Love you.
Like it is.